Welcome back to the Essential Podcast. This is Season 11, Canary Islands. I'm your host, Jessica, who played in Season 7, Anarchy. Tonight we have our co-host, Jack, who played in Season 4, Japan.
Hello.
And we also have Alex, who is a spectacular spectator.
Heyo.
We do not have a special guest tonight, but that's just because we have a lot to go over. And if you've listened to the podcast in the past, you know that myself, Jack, and Alex all have a lot of opinions, and we're going to be discussing a lot of things tonight. So we left off last time with Ty being voted out and 8 castaways remaining. The Tenerife to La Gomora ratio is currently at 6 La Gomora to 2 Tenerife. Now, in a normal season, I really wouldn't put a lot of weight on these original tribe numbers, but with this being a back-to-the-basic season and no swap pre-merge, it's kind of hard to ignore this overwhelming difference between the 2 original tribes. So fair warning, we do have a lot to go over. This is a part of the game where things start to get really interesting. So without further ado, let's get into episode 8. So, as previously mentioned, there are 2 original Tenerifes left in Chelsea and Vince. But thankfully, we're going to see a La Gomora go this round, with a Jabari blindside. I think I speak for most of the VL when I say that we were rooting for the 2 Tenerifes to make it as far as possible, as they have this great underdog story of the season. So Alex, kind of take us through how the vote ended up on Jabari instead of either Vince or Chelsea.
I think at this point, the majority tribe didn't want it to be a Pagonging, and they wanted to make their moves, and because a Pagonging would have just been a boring kind of merge, and there's no way to really show your story at that point. And I think that that was the underlying mindset with most of them. Sorry, I'm driving at this right now, so I don't have all my notes. So Jack, you may want to chime in here with more specific, because I can't remember who led this charge
Against Jabari, I mean, you probably
I believe
could
it was
credit
Patrick, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Patrick. That's right. Yeah, it was Patrick.
Go ahead, Jack.
No, you just... That's what I was going to say. So.
Okay. I mean, there's really not too much to talk about with the Jabari vote. It does, you know, Alex said, you know, it's not a Pagonging. Jabari was the one that... She was connected a lot with Jessica, but not so much some of the others. So I think the others kind of saw her as expendable compared to some of the other people that are still left in the game at this point. Jack, do you think that's fair to say?
Yeah, I would think so. That it was a mutual agreement between everyone that it was kind of worth it to just get rid of them now.
The last tribal discussion didn't help them either. You know, it just painted the X. It was going to be someone. It was going to be a blind side. It just became a very obvious vote at that point.
Yeah, I completely forgot about the previous, with the Thai tribal, where Jabari and Vince go head to head, just right there out in the open. So it didn't.
Jabari thought that they had the backup to say those things, I think, and Vince had nothing to lose, and it turned out, the very next vote in favor for Vince and Chelsea.
Jabari's not going to be the only one to make that mistake this game. But yeah, in my opinion, there's not much to talk about this vote, which is kind of sad because we're at the final 8. Things are starting to pick up, but Jabari really didn't have anybody that was willing to, protect them or go to bat for them when their name came up. So that seemed like
Jabari had trash reads. Just saying.
Had what?
Their reads the entire game were trash, and they still kind of are.
Yeah, they still are in Ponderosa. Yeah, yikes. But, yeah, so unless y'all have anything else to say about Jabari or the final 8, I'll let you chime in. If not, we'll move on to episode 10.
Good riddance.
Whoa.
I'm a bit sad because, Essential has this great history of 8th placers, and I just feel like that was not carried through this season, so that's a bit unfortunate.
I mean, I'm not surprised by what happened. It's exactly, I believe, I discussed in prior broadcasts how they're usually a early merge boot because they just can't get that connection going. So, not excited, not surprised.
You've been saying that since the cast assessment podcast. So yeah, good. You hit the nail right on the head.
Sadly, yeah.
All right, so moving on to episode 10. So we're down to the final 7, and things are getting, really interesting at this point. At this point, both Jessica and Jonathan are getting a bit antsy on who's going to make the first move to get each other out. Jessica is more vocal about it, while Jonathan is kind of content with going with the flow and letting things happen as they may. Before the challenge results come out, though, there is a Sorry Jonathan alliance that gets created with Vince, Chelsea, Patrick, and Amber. The purpose of this alliance was, well, to get rid of Jonathan. We will see, though, that doesn't actually end up happening. So finally, Jonathan is not immune, as Vince won immunity, and it looks like the perfect opportunity to take an accurate shot. The alliance is created, and they have the majority, and there are no idols to be found. However, Jessica happened. And here's what I mean by that. Jessica was pretty confident and comfortable in her position, and basically belittled Vince, saying that his vote wouldn't matter since Chelsea was for sure going home. Now, in my opinion, that is a very arrogant statement for someone to make when they have such little information in the game. This one little mistake and statement from Jessica to Vince will end up costing her the game. Jack, do you think it was the right move for the Sorry Jonathan Alliance to take out Jessica at Final 7 instead of Jonathan?
I mean, was it the right move? No. Was it a move everyone wanted? Yeah, it was a hilarious event to witness. So, although I don't think it was a good game move, it was still a great season move, I would say.
Yeah, I agree to that. It was an easy vote right away. As soon as that whole thing went down, it was easy. The Sorry Jonathan was Vincent and Chelsea were clamoring to anything they could get at that point. So when they could join an alliance that was Sorry Jonathan, they could do it. But if it was going to be Sorry Jessica, well, then so be it.
So my issue with this move, and I understand why, Vince had won immunity. He's safe. He tells the group what Jessica had just said, and everyone's like, we can get on board for a Jessica vote. But to me, that was an emotional decision to go for Jessica over Jonathan, knowing that Jonathan had already won, is capable of winning immunities. Especially Vince knows Jonathan from other communities and other servers, so he knows that he is, in fact, a strong challenge performer. I just think it was an emotional move. You have the perfect opportunity to take out the one person who is perceived as the biggest threat in the game, but because Jessica was an idiot and said something out of arrogance, they switched the vote off of the person who is very likely to win the game now onto her.
So Vince was the emotional one, and we don't see DM, so we don't know exactly what was said, but Jonathan latched onto that and be like, this is my chance to save myself, and I will push for Jessica right now. And so between Vince being emotional and Jonathan being savvy, taking advantage of something, that's how Jessica got out.
I get that, but it's also hindsight's 2020. You're seeing things as they happen in the moment. But in my opinion, that was a game-losing move for Vince.
Yeah, again, we can't change his emotional state. It's the other players that bought into it. They're the ones that are going to be kicking themselves now.
Yeah, I mean, it was an emotional move, but when you have someone standing there going, hey, basically, your vote in this game, basically, what you can say in this game and do doesn't matter, anyone can understand why that's frustrating enough to make you want to take them out. And if Jessica had kept her mouth a little filtered, I would say, then maybe she would still be here instead of in Ponderosa. So while Vince does know how Jonathan operates, equally, Jonathan could lose an immunity because Vince did beat him in one. So it's just it was a gamble to kind of say fuck you to Jessica or try to win the game. So.
And it didn't end with just Vince. Didn't Jessica say something to Chelsea saying basically you're gone?
Yeah, she told her.
So then, then there's Vince and Chelsea, but, have the same story. And then you got Jonathan saying, oh, this is my chance to save myself. Yeah, it's easy to just keep pushing that. And then all you need is one more vote.
I think that what we're not recognizing right now is the fact that basically Vince had gone, haha, I wish I could get her out right now in their alliance chat. And then Amber went, so why don't we? And then that's how the ball really got rolling there, because Amber was the one who started pushing it instead of Vince, because it was a joke to him at first to be bitter. Sorry.
No, you're right. I forgot about what Amber said.
Yeah, this is Amber's first like real move of the game is flipping with Vince and Chelsea to get out Jessica. We're going to see her do other moves as the game goes on, but this is where she's finally like starting to get a backing in the viewer lounge of people like, okay, like we see what you're doing. We're with you on this. It was good to see. We don't know what she's done all game, but Final 7 happens, and hey, she's going to flip and make a beautiful blindside. But I want to make it clear that I am not excusing what Jessica did. I thought that was extremely dumb of her to do, and the fact that it took a couple DMs between two people in the minority to get her ass voted out this game was beautiful. It was probably one of the best episodes of the season.
That's not
I would say it's one of the best episodes ever.
But
she went from, she was doing well, and she was, she knows she's cocky and stuff, and she went from like, near the top straight down, and it was hilarious to watch.
From that tribal discussion to Jessica's vote out, it was the best kind of 2 episodes or 3 episodes. Even better than like anything from last year as well, I thought, because it was just a huge swing, and that was the saving grace for this season. So you'll need to eat your words here soon, Jessica, about your opinion on the season.
We'll see. I did enjoy the episode just because I'm not a big, and this is going to sound very, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost hypocritical coming from me, but I'm not a fan of extremely arrogant players. Now I know that my Essential season was pretty arrogant, but I have since changed my ways for most of the part. But to me, Jessica was just that. Like, I don't understand how you can root for her, right?
Yeah, I agree to that.
You can be arrogant. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was saying there's a difference between what Jessica was and arrogant, because arrogant is going, you know what? I'm very confident that I'm going to be here next week and this and that. And then there's hubris, thinking you're better than everyone in that sense and you're not going anywhere. So I think she felt a hubris which is, if anyone doesn't know, it's like extreme pride that you're better than everyone else.
And then her trying to play it off afterwards of like, I knew this was coming.
Oh, that was awesome. We all
like, are you serious?
And we all saw that coming. Her saying it. We all knew she was going to say it.
So that's Jessica. It was a glorious downfall that we were all, hoping would happen. And the fact that Jonathan had nothing to do with it is another big point. Jonathan was blindsided along with Jessica. So these two, who have been saying since like mid pre-merge that they know they're gonna have to get the other out before they go to the finals, all this other stuff, and neither one of them had anything to do with it. It was amazing. So.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan was like, I'm gonna get Jessica out at Final 5, right? And then he just comes and sees that Jessica's out Final 7. But I mean, he was living for it, so good for him. But I think that definitely weakened his game for the further on.
And I think this is the point. Yeah, I think I would almost pinpoint Final 7 as John's strategic downfall, if you can even call it that. It's not that he isn't, a big presence or a big threat to win, because he most definitely is. But he's starting to lose agency because he's not voting right. He's getting blindsided. He's not getting necessarily what he wants. And he's allowing people to sway his vote. I mean, is that fair to say?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, a lot of the winning game is that you were able to vote right at the big tribals and get those people out who, like, I would call them king-making moves or kingmaker. So for him to be completely out of the loop on this one, and it won't be the only one, spoiler alert, it's just not looking good.
Yeah. And for me, something that I have always paid a lot of attention to is how you claim your agency in a game. And what I mean by that is, what are you doing? What specifically are you doing in a game that's changing the course of the game in your favor for you to win? And I just don't see Jonathan having anything other than immunity wins from this point on. All right. Well, I will stop ranting about Jessica and Jonathan for now. Jonathan will come up in further rants. I can promise you that. um, so moving on to final 11. So to really no one's surprise, Jonathan will win immunity again. And as we're at the final 6, almost everybody is expecting Vince to go since he is one of the 2 biggest threats to win the game, only next to Jonathan. However, Vince isn't giving up just yet. He presents a great argument to Jonathan to not vote him out. Alex, kind of take us through the argument Vince made that ultimately got the vote onto Patrick and allowed Vince and Chelsea to live another day.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to defer to Jack. I gotta run for a quick second.
Okay, not a problem.
Okay, sorry. So basically, coming into the final 6, Jonathan knew that he wanted either Vince or Patrick gone, but at the end of the day, Vince was relentless in his campaigning towards Jonathan, and I think at the end of the day, it was just, it was foolish for Jonathan to take out Patrick here, in my opinion. But if he saved Vince's here, he risks giving Tenerife a win, in my opinion, which is hard because he knows Vince is a strong competitor, physically too, and socially, of course, if not socially. So at the end of the day, I think it was just Vince, relentlessly badgering and saying, if you keep me, it's an easy boot over me or over you, and you can go further.
Yeah, that was basically the pitch, and I couldn't believe that pitch worked. Swaggy is a good strategic player. He has a very strategic mindset, and so for him to be able to be swayed by Vince campaigning to save himself really shocked me. I was not expecting him to do that. So basically, Vince was like, if we take out Patrick now, even if I win immunity at final 5, you're still going to be safe because people will vote for Chelsea over you. And if you win immunity, you can vote me out. So he's basically just buying himself an extra day, and it worked. And that's another thing with the agency, Jonathan did nothing with that. That was all Vince. All Jonathan did was make the decision based off of what Vince told him. Yeah, I want to say it was a game-losing move, but, if you read his confessional, you see all of these words he said to everyone, and it clearly worked because he stayed. And it was just a great move for Vince. I agree. And that, I think if he would have gone on to win Final 5 immunity, I think Vince is still in the game at this point. If he can make... I think he could have gotten the vote on to Jonathan if he won immunity at Final 5, because the way that he can talk to people and make them want to be a part of his side and go with his plan, that was just, to me, that was a dumb move by Jonathan. I was happy because Vince got to stay, but to me, the pros don't outweigh the cons in that situation. It's working for Jonathan, I guess, kind of. So, for me, we'll talk about in a bit the Vince vote after this, but Patrick was doing well, but he just wasn't doing well enough, in my opinion, to win the season after these few rounds. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting because I remember last podcast we were talking extremely highly of Patrick, but he's another one of those that extremely arrogant. He had a little bit more to back it up. I'll give him that. But I think he would have blown himself up at Final Travel Council with his own arrogance. I think it would have rubbed people the wrong way, and he would have gotten called out a lot for things that he thought he did, but in turn wasn't necessarily all him, Yeah, when you're in the game, you have a certain perception about this and that, and you think if you have the idea, it's your idea. Welcome back, Alex. Hope you're good. Once you get it in your head, it's kind of hard to get it out, and it takes everyone telling you, no, that was not your move, to it's finally sink in. So we saw that last season with Matthew planting the ideas in people's head, making them think that it was their idea when it was, it was traced back to him. Yeah.
There's a way to do it, and he wasn't doing it. Patrick, that is.
No,
Matthew was arrogant subtly.
I think that's fair. That's fair. But what I'm comparing is the complete opposite of what Patrick thought he was. He thought he was Matthew. He thought he was pulling the strings when he was really just there.
Yeah. I mean, I think he set some things in motion, but they weren't necessarily important things for it.
Well, didn't he set up the Sorry Jonathan alliance?
He
I
did.
think so.
Yeah.
Well,
I
it
mean,
still didn't work.
look how well that worked out. Yeah.
Good idea. Terrible execution. So, Alex, I don't know if you heard anything. Do you have anything else to add about the Patrick vote out or how Vince was able to sway Jonathan to not vote him out here?
No, I heard it all, and Jack, once again, was bang on.
All right, y'all. You two are agreeing way too much this podcast. All right.
We got in trouble last time, so.
All right. So moving on to
Mama Jessica got us in trouble.
Oh God, not this again. So moving on to episode 12. So now we're at the final 5. Things are looking to be a bit more even as we have Jonathan, Tommy, and Amber from OG La Camorra and Vince and Chelsea from the OG Tenerife tribe. Vince was able to buy himself an extra round by convincing Jonathan that he needed to keep him as an easy target for Final 5. However, Vince comes up just short of immunity yet again, and we will see Jonathan once again win individual immunity. Unfortunately, Vince will not be able to talk himself safe this round, and we will see him go 5th. I think I speak for everyone when I say that this was a heartbreaking episode. To see Vince fight so hard for so long just to come up short was probably one of the more emotional moments of the season, at least for me. So Jack, was there anything that Vince could have done other than win immunity to save himself? And at this point, do you think that this game is basically just going to be handed to Jonathan?
I can speak to that. Jack covered me the last time,
Okay, that's fair.
if you don't mind. And
Yeah, go ahead.
feel free to chime in. It was at this point when it was 3-2 that the original majority tribe finally bounded together and just said, you know what, let's just finish this off. Let's work together. Let's put aside our differences and let's just work together on this. This is the way it was supposed to be. It's been entertaining enough. Let's work together here. And I don't think Vince could have done anything. There was nothing that Vince could have done at that point, except for win immunity himself. And yes, Vince tried so hard, but from him trying so hard, that's what put the target on his back and not Chelsea's back. At this point, people are like, well, what's better for my individual game here? At Final 5, you start thinking individual game, and the thought was, let's get rid of Vince and we'll carry Chelsea to the end.
I completely disagree.
Whoa!
No, I'm kidding.
Finally.
I mean, there was arguments he could have made, but in this scenario, any argument he really made could just be turned around and saying, no, that's also you. I think if Jonathan was the one not immune, and let's say Chelsea won it, I think he had a chance with Amber, but it was really Amber was in the middle of 2 duos, and one duo had 2 strong players, and the other one had Jonathan and Tommy, and only 1 strong player. So I think in this scenario, no matter how you spin it, how you try to lie and fake idol your way out of it, the cards have been dealt the way they have, and Amber's not going to back down and fold.
Yeah, I think that it was, as heartbreaking as it was Vince's time to go. We knew basically from, the merge that there was going to be a very, very, very low chance of him making it to the final because he had already had that almost threat level, and it just kept growing and growing and growing as the game went on, despite him only winning 1 individual immunity. But his social game was incredible. We saw his strategic game peak. I mean, he was just, in my opinion, he was the best well-rounded player. Does anybody disagree with that?
I mean, yeah, I don't disagree. I think easily he's the best socially, and then physically he was no joke either. And strategically, obviously, he made these choices and got them uh, all the way to a finale night. So
Are you
he,
talking only out of these five? Is he the best? Because like I
No,
still
I'm
think,
talking about of the game.
Yeah.
then I think Greenberg was the best.
Greenberg, no offense, got 11th.
I know,
We
but
didn't really
like
get to see his
because
whole
he
game,
was so.
so that's kind of
And
hard.
what I saw, I thought Greenberg was like outstanding, and like that's what put the target on his back to get out at 11th. I get it.
In my opinion, the difference between Greenberg and Vince is if Vince was in that situation at 11th, I can see him talking his way out of it and still being here, where
He did-
Greenberg wasn't
he-
able to do
he-
that.
He did talk a lot. That's right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I love Greenberg as much as anybody, and I think the potential was there. I just need a bigger sample size before I can compare him to or give him the player of the season accolade.
He'd have gone too soon season.
Isn't that called second chance?
I don't know. Gone too soon sometimes doesn't merit second chances. I don't know. I think they're different. That's just my opinion.
Wait.
Carrying
We
the
actually
second
already
step.
had that. We had that season 8 with basically fans versus flops, right?
But what merit? Like, so is a flop a blue chip player coming into the season to going home too soon?
Yeah, I mean, one of them won the season, so
Because I think that's important. I think that there's like Essential is a big enough community that when you see a season about to happen with all the castaways, just like how we made our draft, you have our top picks, you have the people that we feel as though should make it far. And when those people are the first boot or they're out, within the first 5 votes, they warrant more of a gone too soon. I think
Greenberg
little
wasn't out in the
friendlier
first
than-
5 votes, so
oh, fuck, I'm just generally don't be so specific. I'm just being general here.
no, yeah, I know. I was just messing with you. I mean, I get what you mean. The people who just kind of maybe got dealt their own deck, or they
Mhm.
had a step up, or got idled out, or something. I understand where you're coming from, but in this context, we were talking. In my opinion, was who was the best and showed the best this season, and not just has the best.
Yep, no, you're right. Vince did well.
Are you two done?
Only for you to edit it out, but yes, go ahead.
No, I'm not editing this. CK is, so it's up to him.
Director's cut, raw footage.
No, I appreciate the banter. I do, but I don't think anyone's going to change my mind that Vince is player of the season.
I agreed with you.
Thank you, Jack. Anyway, so that is episode 12. Vince goes home. We're left with 4. And things are not done being entertaining just yet. So, going into episode 13, I can say with full confidence that this is probably my favorite episode of the season. So let me break it down, shall we? With Vince going at final 5, Chelsea is the last remaining Tenerife standing. And it looks like an easy vote, right? Wrong. Now, we don't actually know what was said or what happened, as both Chelsea and Amber really suck at confessionals. But something happened between those two. Some conversation was had. And Amber goes on to make her second big move of the season, allowing Chelsea to go to fire against Tommy. Now, how do I say this in the nicest way possible? Tommy needed to go. Like, he contributed absolutely nothing to the season, and even said that he was happy to go to the end with Jonathan and for him to win. So for the first time this season, we're going to see fire determine who goes to the jury and who goes to final 3. Chelsea easily wins, and we see our last true GOAT get out of the game. Did anybody else enjoy this? Was this not just such a fun and cheerful round, or was it just me?
It was
So
in
2 points here is that I don't know if this is Amber's move more than it being Chelsea's move here.
Nobody
convince Amber-
knows. We don't know what was said. We don't know who had the convincing argument. I mean, it would make sense that Chelsea would, but we haven't seen Chelsea do anything all game. So why would we assume that she could do that?
So, okay, before this vote, do we have two GOATs then? Chelsea and Tommy?
I would say at this point in the game, at Final Four, before Tommy is eliminated, people were not seeing Amber's game, and she was considered a lesser player, in my opinion.
Then
From the
Tommy?
eyes of the jury. I mean, I would say they were equal in the perception category at that point.
And then where's Chelsea in this?
Chelsea is getting credit because she's surviving.
Okay.
And now she also has Vince, who's in Ponderosa, going to bat for her and talking her up. Yeah.
So, well, then I don't know. I still think this is Chelsea's move, but again, we won't know. But Amber, decided to go against it, and but Amber also thought what's best for her game. Best for her game is to bring Chelsea with her, maybe, if she can win, or if Chelsea was to win, Chelsea would bring Amber. Jonathan was bringing Tommy no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only indication we have that Chelsea was trying was her saying, Amber, come on, stay with me. So it's not really evident to us at this point.
That's why DM should be open for a VIP.
Oh, that's a lot of work.
A lot of channels.
Carry on.
All I'm saying is this episode had it all. It got the person who didn't deserve to be here out. It allowed someone with an underdog story to survive. It had a big move. It had the jury and the viewers lounge going nuts cheering for Chelsea winning Fire. It was a feel-good episode, if you will. I enjoyed it. I'm glad we had it. The season desperately needed something other than the Jessica blindside to get it going, get it not to be so boring. Evidently, I'm the only one that thinks that, but...
Yeah, you're saying all these points on how great the season was.
I mean, from a entertainment standpoint, getting Tommy out was good because everyone knew Tommy wasn't winning. So it's kind of better in the sense that now it's, the better players are still here, not Tommy.
Agreed. Tommy didn't deserve to, in my opinion, make it this far. He did because he didn't do anything. I think I said it in the VL a few days ago. I don't think the guy had an original thought all season. He was just following Jonathan, and it was boring. Tommy goes to Fire. We're down to final three. So this will give us our final three of Chelsea, Amber, and Jonathan. We just got the results earlier tonight, and Jonathan wins Final Immunity Challenge, which no one is surprised about. So before we go any further, let's talk about the Final Immunity Challenge a little bit. Because I, for one, was a bit frustrated. You have Amber, who did very well at the spamming portion, and she won the spamming portion. She got 3 points for it, but then completely neglected to do the puzzle. She abstained from the puzzle. And you had Chelsea, who didn't even start the spamming portion until 10 hours left to go. And then you have Jonathan, who stayed up, 25 hours or something stupid to do this challenge.
It's a 24-hour challenge.
Yeah.
He did 19 hours on it because he fell asleep from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. his time, and then immediately went back on the grind. So, shout out to him.
Amber still blew him out of the water.
For the pinging, yeah.
But
Jonathan won in the end.
Sure. But unfortunately, reading in Chelsea's confessional there, she said this morning that she had a migraine. So unfortunately, looking at a phone screen or computer screen was not in her cards last night.
Well, I get that, but if you also ask me, I haven't seen Chelsea as a big challenge presence really this entire game. She's had a couple spurts where she surprised me, but I didn't see her winning this challenge, to be completely honest with you.
She's surprised she did that puzzle pretty quick.
Yeah,
didn't need any hints. That's the Chelsea that I know, and she's already won an immunity advantage or immunity idol this season, and the Chelsea I know is pretty good at this kind of stuff. So unfortunately for the pinging, And that's those types of check-in challenges. That's Yag's bread and butter. That's what we do for 24 hours straight in our orgs.
Still lost.
Yes, she did.
I didn't think that Amber had much of a shot, but she really just frustrated me when she abstained from the puzzle. Like, I get that you're not good at puzzles, but try.
It annoyed me because she focused so much on the pinging. And, granted, she did win that, but she waited until, 45 minutes before. And, she wasn't winning the challenge anyways, the puzzle one. And I don't know how, it was a very easy puzzle, but she just abstained because she wasn't getting the answer and she wanted to focus on Flappy Bird, I'm pretty sure. And she still flopped there. So
Flopped at Flappy Bird. What's your high score, Jack, for Flappy Bird?
I don't want to talk about it. It's my worst challenge.
Yeah, I think it's most people's worst challenge.
I think mine's 21.
Bullshit.
No, I'm serious.
I want to see proof. And what's the other one? Floppy Copter?
Yeah, they did Flappy Copter here.
Yeah.
That one sucks too. Oh, they did Copter? Okay. Flappy Bird and Floppy Copter, they're both terrible.
I agree.
But it's fun to watch as a viewer. People do terrible at it.
Yeah, that's why I put it in there. So
And they get pissed off that everybody, as soon as you announce it.
It's awesome.
All right, so that's kind of where we are right now. So we have the final 3. Jonathan is guaranteed a spot in the final 2. So what I would like us to do is kind of break down the final 3 and discuss their resumes from throughout the game. And at the end of this segment, I want each of us to say who they think is going to go to the finals, whether it be Amber or Chelsea, and who they think is going to win with the vote count for the jury. So we'll start with Chelsea. And Alex, since you are Chelsea's biggest fan, what are some things about Chelsea's game that can get her the win if she makes it to the end?
Well, whether it be Vince or Chelsea, it's the survival from decimation is where you've got to hang your hat on. No one wants to win that way. No one wants that to be their story, but it was, provided for them, and they were the remaining ones. They could, there's something about being the last 2 members or last member of a dying tribe that you would have to, sell yourself. This is going to be pre-merge, and then since the merge, is that you're going to have to really sell it. It's that underlying story. When they're not in a position to make any moves, they're the only ones, the only moves that they can make are following moves. You've got to really try to sell that. And it's tough. It's hard, especially coming from the winner of last year, Matthew, or last season. You got gameplay of him. How can you compare to that? It's hard. So that's the only way that Chelsea's going to be able to sell herself. But I think Amber's going to be, she's got 2 moves. Chelsea doesn't really have any. I don't know. That's all I can really say about that.
Well, let me ask you this, Alex. Have you seen Chelsea in the final tribal council?
I'm just trying to think. No, I've just heard stories of it. She was in something called Frogviver that she's won.
Do you have any idea of how she does?
Well, the one thing is that she is usually spot on with her confessionals, and she's played a completely different game when it comes to that for Essential, which is that part's disappointing because she likes to talk, and more so than Kristen or you, Jess. And so when, yeah, no problem. So that part's surprising, but the person, the player that I know of Chelsea is, she could sell herself in tribal council. She's got a story, and she can put it together. But it's going to be tough. Like I don't know if she gets picked. Jonathan's going to have to really, I think Jonathan laid it out in one of his. Or no, that was Amber maybe in one of his confessionals. Their confessionals, they kind of try to figure out the votes, and it's going to be tough. But I think we should move on.
Well, Jack, do you have anything to add about Chelsea and her resume?
Personally, I think the only thing she can and will do is execute how she outlasted everyone. And personally, I just use this, but outlasting doesn't matter if you can't outwit or outplay. I don't really see any big moves she was a part of. Final Four is up in the air because we don't really know, but I was leaning towards Amber, giving credit to. But I mean, like, look at it. Philip, no. Ty, no. Jabari, no. Jessica, no. Patrick, no. Vince, no. So, like, it was, like, all she has is her underdog story. So, if she goes to Jonathan in the final tribal council, I think it's going to be 4-3 for Jonathan, in my opinion, because I know how he can orate himself in his gameplay. And Chelsea, to me, I don't know if it's just her activeness or her, like if she's not active enough, I don't think she can really defend herself well, especially because Jonathan can be, provide an onslaught against her. So
I like that you brought up the point of outlast doesn't matter if you don't have outwit or outplay. Actually, in an interview I had once, that was a question: is which do you think is the most important? And I flat out said outlast, obviously, but it doesn't matter if you don't have the outwit portion. And to me, I don't know if Chelsea has the resume to win. I don't know what she's done to have any agency in this game other than survive. But I can also see her having a Scooby-Doo reveal. And what I mean by that is we don't know anything about her game, so I could completely see her going to Final Tribal Council, pulling this mask off her game, and everyone being like, whoa. It's very possible that that could happen, because we just don't know. I think if she does go to Final Tribal Council, I think she still loses. Pretty decisively, I would say maybe she gets 2 votes. But
see, I said 3 because of Jabari, so sue me.
Jabari's a wild card. Because they have their own perception. Same with Philip, though. Or not Philip, oh my goodness. Patrick. They have both Patrick and Jabari have their own idea of what happened. None of it actually happened that way.
I think the difference is Patrick will credit Jonathan more because he thinks Jonathan got him out. So that's why I think Patrick will lean Jonathan, because he's selfish. No offense.
I will admit that my keeping up with Ponderosa has not been the best this season because of Vince. Or at least since Vince got there. Did Vince not tell them how he survived?
No, I think people know it was Vince, but at the end of the day, I think Jonathan could weave that, he still chose to do this and to eliminate Patrick because Patrick was a threat to Jonathan's game. And Patrick's going to look at that and go, you know what? I'm being complimented. It's making myself feel better because saying I'm a threat. So he's going to say that's a better outplay than Chelsea's, in my opinion.
That's fair. I see your argument there. So, anything else on Chelsea before we move on?
Nope.
Let's go to Amber. Jack, why don't you start us off with Amber's resume?
Amber. I mean, I think Amber is going to come in to this Final Tribal Council, and I've never really watched her. Watched her in a Final Tribal Council. So I think her best use will be that she was silent but deadly. Everyone expected her to just be dragged to the end, but then she came. She showed up. She did. Jessica. She, Vince. She was a part of Tommy. I don't know if did she ever vote wrong either. I think that's going to be her main point, is that even though she was perhaps not the loudest one this season, she was still on the right side every single time, and she dictated who might go here and who might go there. And if she's taken over Chelsea, I think that I think it also might be 4-3. And if that's in favor of Jonathan or Amber, I can't really predict that right now. But I'm confident if anyone's going to be Jonathan, it's going to be Amber.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's why she's my number 1 pick.
See, I know Amber. She came from True Viber, and she played the same way there, where she does a lot outside of the public view. She does do a lot of confessionals. Doesn't talk a whole lot in alliance chats and stuff like that, but she works very well one-on-one. And I think she's got a really good social game. I think that she's got the moves to back it up. The only thing that she's missing is immunity wins, but she's like me. She knows that she's not strong in challenges, so she has to survive another way. And maybe I'm just biased, but I think that is impressive if you can make it through an ungodly amount of tribals, which if you make it final tribal council, it's an ungodly amount of tribals, unprotected, that isn't anything to sleep on. You know, she's got the survival aspect as well. So I think Amber has a very good shot if she can get the jury to see it. It's all about how she comes across and if she's going to be able to talk to the jury in a way that to get them to understand that, yes, Jonathan is a great player, but he needed immunity wins to win. Here's what I did to get me to the end.
Yeah, I think the key member she needs to focus on is Jessica, personally.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
Like, not
she has to get
Jessica
her.
Jessica hasn't really talked in Ponderosa recently, but from my knowledge, I mean, but I think that Jessica, because when Jessica was in the game, she was, Amber is his GOAT. I'm bringing her to the final 3. I'm going to win over her and stuff. So we all know perception in a jury is very dangerous. And if someone has a wrong perception of you, it's very hard to change that opinion. And I think Amber could do it, but it's just she needs to focus on certain members.
And I don't think that this is a bitter jury. Is that, you all agree this isn't a bitter jury?
I agree. I haven't even seen Pondo, and I agree that the people going there are not that bitter. It's been one of those seasons where you didn't have to be bitter. Bitterness comes in with swaps. And if it was more of an even merge, it'd be more bitterness.
Well, I think Amber does have the jury members there to win. It's just a matter if she can convince them. So I don't see many people going in. Like, if it's a final tribal council between Jonathan and Amber, I don't see many people going in dead set on one or the other. So it could be Jonathan has a bad final tribal council and Amber's is good and she can sway some votes. You never know. I mean, we saw that last season. I think we all predicted that Matthew was basically going to have a clean sweep. And then Brittany comes in with a fantastic final tribal council and gets, 3 votes?
Yeah, 6-3-1.
Yeah. So anything can happen.
It was just 6-3, wasn't it? Final.
No, Kristen got a vote.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she had. Cole voted for her, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You done
Anything to say about that, Alex?
What's that?
Nothing.
So you done arguing with us?
Yeah, I'm done.
So that's Amber, and then I guess we'll move on to the last one, which is Jonathan. Alex, you want to take him first?
No, I'm gonna have to run for about 5 minutes here.
Okay, Jack.
Sorry.
I mean, Jonathan is my friends. We talk. We know each other. But personally, I don't really want him to win this season. He hasn't played bad by any means. He positioned himself well on his OG tribe. He was basically running it with Jessica, and he came to the merge with a solid game plan. But those first 2 wins, I don't think he needed at all, really. And that's going to weaken his game because this is his 6th win. So when someone comes in and goes, you relied on immunity, and it's now 6 wins versus 4 that he might not have needed. And, you can always say, oh, I don't think I needed it. And also some key moments of the season that changed the path of it was on. He wasn't a part of, like Jessica, Tommy. He wasn't a part of that, It just kind of, he's missing all the big moments at the end. And then there's people like Amber who was there on the other side of those moments, or even Chelsea. And it just kind of I don't know. I want him to win, but I don't want him to win this season, if that makes sense.
I agree. I love Jonathan to death, but I just don't care for the way that he's made it to the end. He hasn't had to play the game, in my opinion, at least. Being immune, all but 2 times the entire season? I guess 3, because they lost 1 pre-merge, where they got out and inactive. He's had the easiest path to the end in terms of just, immunities and being safe, that it's not something I want to root for as someone watching the season. You mentioned the big moves of the season, and, I'm not the biggest fan of the season. It's been very slow. It's been very boring. The cast hasn't necessarily played up to what I thought that they could during casting. So when you have a season like that not a lot is going on, and there's only a couple big things that happen and you're not a part of those big things that are happening, that says a lot to me. So I think that may hurt him. I don't know for sure if the jury is going to care about that. I hope they do, because I think that it's a big, you know, I think that that's a big indicator of just where he's been at strategically this game. So I think he's got the best shot of winning. I don't know if I necessarily want him to win.
I don't know. Like, you can win immunity, of course. That's fine. Like, I'd be a hypocrite if I said it wasn't. But, like, I don't know. Or you need to show that with immunity, you're also doing something else in the game and not just, chilling. Because, like, essentially for a lot of the votes, he was like, he won immunity, and then he just submitted his vote and kind of chillaxed, and the vote switched up on him, and then he had to scramble. So
I guess all things considered, where, we could have had where we could have had a bad final tribal council, I think regardless, we're going to end up with a good one. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to be able to sway the jury and fight to get the votes that they need. I still can't believe that Jonathan's leading Chelsea, taking out Chelsea over Amber. I guess it's just because he can't see everything like we can, but I don't know. I think that's dangerous for him to do.
yeah,
So,
I mean,
go ahead.
personally, like, if I was Jonathan, I've been up against an underdog story, and especially with online Survivor, and even in the show, people are just obsessed with, if you were on the bottom, and then, like, let's say you come into the swap or merge like 7-3 as they did, people just obsess over the fact that you survived that long. And if you were like Vince and you actively switched votes off of you or your ally, and that's how you survive, that's an underdog story. But there's cases where you just get taken because you're not, like, no one thinks you should win, but then the juries go like, oh, well, they survived. So it just kind of, to me, it's like Chelsea, I don't actively see her, like, I don't see her doing it. She wasn't the one flipping the votes. It was Vince. So it just kind of, like, it just kind of, I don't see her, being the one and the reason.
All right. Well, we've got a lot of audience questions. And if you have any more, audience, now is the time to get them in. Yeah. So do any of the final three have returning potential? If so, what kind of season would they fit into? Jack, you want to take this one?
I mean,
trying to think.
I think Brittany wants it to be Amber for fan favorite, but I mean, like, let's take out All Stars. Right now we have Chelsea, which I would say would go on a second chances unless she wins. Jonathan, I don't know. He wasn't really on a hero's, like, he wasn't a hero. He wasn't a villain. I mean, I guess game changers. He won 6 immunities. He broke the record, so props to him for that. And then Amber, I would say out of this final three, Amber, I think, deserves to come back and show that, who she actually is as a player, and hopefully use her confessionals. But I don't know what season I put her on. I mean, I guess
the first thing I thought with Jonathan, and this isn't like I don't actually think this is like a season that is very big in orgs, especially for a returning season, but we do it with the brand steals all the time. I think Jonathan would fit in perfectly with a Brain versus Bond versus Beauty. I know that's not like necessarily a returning season, but I think he fits in perfectly there on the Braun tribe. I agree with Amber. I want to see her come back and show that, this wasn't just like a fluke season where she just kind of like went with a couple other people's ideas. I think that she, played a great game, and I think that she proved herself, but I think she can do more to show that she is indeed a great player. I went to bat for her during casting, and I almost regretted that decision a couple of times this season, but I'm really glad that we gave her a chance. And then Chelsea, I don't know. She didn't give me much this season. And I guess you could say second chances for that, but I just think that there's other people that deserve second chances that give more to the game.
Yeah.
So.
I was saying that, so she could prove that's, like, she has it, but.
All right, I guess this is also for you, Jack. what is one game or host decision that was made that you wish you didn't? This could be a twist, challenge, or anything that you wish was altered.
Well, I will say so myself that the challenges this season have been amazing, and that is a direct brag because I helped make a few of them. But I mean, personally, for like, I don't really do casting, and if I knew what this cast was, and I would have gone, okay, we're switching season 11 and 12's theme because this was not the cast for it, in my opinion.
I don't know if this cast would have fit well for that theme either, but I like where you're going with the cast. And I think it's because and I've said this before, I'll say it again, the cast and the theme did not match for this season. And for someone that actually did help with casting, if I could go back and change anything, I would redo the starting tribes. Because, yikes. Joshua asks, if you could take any new player from a past season and place them in Canary Islands, who would it be and why? So basically, if you could put any player in a Back to the Basics season.
Well, myself, because I got idled out. Let me think.
I don't know. I think a Back to the Basics season, and this I'm gonna tie this in with Greenberg's question that he asked: what could have made this season better? And it's just you have to have the right cast for a season like this, and we just didn't have that. You need big personalities. You need people who can and know how to play the game without advantages, or swaps or change-ups, and we didn't have that. So that, for me, the entertainment value wasn't there. So if you can put somebody with a big personality who's entertaining, that would have made the season better. And from my knowledge of Essential, which is really, season 7 onward.
I would say, maybe someone from Anarchy, because that's the twist was a big one. So maybe like Joseph on a Back to Basics, but
no, he's too boring.
there's not really Cam, but she didn't really get screwed over by the twist. I don't know. It's a difficult question.
See, I'm going the complete opposite. If you're going Anarchy, I'm going to say you want Tyler Parker in that season, just because they're going to stir shit up. They're going to make it interesting. They're going to make it fun.
Yeah. I get that from an entertainment view. I don't know. It's just the only people who really screwed over or would be blessed on a Back to Basics season was anyone screwed over by advantages or twists, in my opinion. Because other than that, it's still a game and at the core of it.
Will the winner affect your season rankings, or will it remain the same regardless?
Well, I know you're not the big fan, so I'll let you take that one first.
I mean, I'm already basically seeing the season with Jonathan as the winner. So maybe if Amber can squeak out a win, maybe it would raise it slightly for me. I still don't put it in the same tier as Anarchy and Yemen. It's around. I don't know if it's above or below just yet. The Maldives for me. So maybe if Amber wins, it would go above that. Maybe. I don't know if it would take it third for me though. I don't see anything happening that would put it above fans versus favorites. What about you?
I mean, Chelsea winning would lessen the season's value to me. It would make it like an appropriate storyline, I guess, for the season, but it's just not the winner I want. I'm okay with Jonathan winning. I'm not a fan of it, but I'm okay with it. I wouldn't want to see Amber win, but regardless of the winner, I'm gonna be honest, Vince, I think, made this season. So,
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I mean, you had before the merge, you had Greenberg as the big character that everybody was rooting for. After he got out into the merge, you had Vince, and now that Vince is gone, nobody can agree on who to root for.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, it's just really the final tribal council is gonna end the season up, and it's not that big of an impact for me.
I agree. I'm sticking my rankings as 1, 2 Anarchy Yemen, 3 fans versus favorites, Canary Islands, and then the Maldives. All right. I think there was a couple more questions.
I think they were joke ones. No, I mean, what could have made the season better for you?
Not having a back to the basics twist. having a swap. If I had to choose one thing, it would be having a swap.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Vince winning would be pretty cool, but I don't know. At this point, it just kind of we did it and we realized we done fucked up.
Yeah, but you didn't know that. During planning, you didn't know. For all you knew, Anarchy could have been a fuck up. I mean, that's a major twist that could have gone in like very south very quickly, but it didn't because of the cast. So it kind of just balanced itself out. This season didn't have that balancing factor, so just kind of,
Yeah, I mean, I think like what really kind of what would have made the season more entertaining or better is if Tenerife won that math challenge and went into the merge with 4 people. Because I still think Philip goes and then Ty goes. And then from there, it's kind of like, it's up in the air.
Things are a little bit more even. You have Greenberg as a factor in there. Yeah, that's something very small that could have had a better impact on the season.
And Brittany has another question, too. Which former Essential player would you like to see play with each of the final 3?
Where did she come up with this stuff?
I don't know. I mean, they're good questions, of course.
I'm gonna be selfish here, and I want to claim Jonathan for me, just because him and I have already played twice together, and our relationship dynamic is very interesting. We can be the best of friends, or we could be instant rivals.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say Jonathan with me because we are great friends and we share a same mindset, but we both know we're never going to take each other to the end, pretty much. Or, I mean, I might if I think I can beat him, of course, but we both know that we can really, we can either fuel each other or deplete each other.
I know. Okay,
Amber,
so Jonathan doesn't get either of us. Jonathan gets Jayla.
Oh God. I mean, he'll carry the challenges, I guess. But between you and I would say Jonathan. Put him with I want to say James. I don't know, because James is really that aggressive social, and Jonathan is the aggressive strategic. So I think they could really, they could help each other. And it's not just because we're all named Jay either. But who's next? Amber. Who would I put Amber with?
Someone who knows how to write confessionals.
I mean,
I would say Brittany.
See, I was thinking of someone who, like, let's say Robbie, who is, because Amber is really good at behind the scenes, and I'm not but I don't know, Robbie is not really easily swayed, but someone who's really over, who's loud and is a big presence in the season, and someone she can just kind of hide behind and still snipe people. That was my thought process. Who she would clash really well with.
See, I was thinking of who she would balance with, like kind of on the same page, have the same mindset, how they play the game, and I can see. I don't know. Brittany was the first person that came to mind, so I'm going to stick with that. I think Brittany and Amber being allied together would be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Then we have Chelsea.
Give Chelsea Ace, I guess. I don't know.
Oh gosh,
Chelsea's not really serving it for me, so
I don't want someone that's just going to carry her. I don't know.
Actually, I changed my answer to Felix for Amber.
Why?
Carry on with why? Because he's very socially loud, and she's also social a lot too, but he does it in a way that everyone knows it. So I think at the end of the day, if it gets down to it and you take out Felix, Amber's game is looking solid. And, she probably could beat someone like Felix in a competition. Just saying. Yeah, Chelsea, I mean.
Can't think of anybody.
give her, give her Lauren. I don't know.
John,
They both
maybe?
who? Oh, John,
John?
like season 8, John.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like John works well with the older people casted usually, and Chelsea. I think she's 25, right, or
Something
something
like
like that. Yeah. So I think they both kind of have a cool mindset to go through. So I can see that.
that. Why me? Um, Joshua has another question. Which season 11 castaway would you... Okay, no, never mind. There's no more questions. So let's go over the fantasy draft update. I have a
It's been a long
sad...
5 minutes, by the way.
Oh, for Alex. Yeah, I was trying to keep it going so he could come back for this, but that's all right. So fantasy draft update. Not looking good for me. I am actually out. So I ended with 44 points, guaranteed last place. For a recap for everybody, the picks for the fantasy draft were: I had Vince, Ty, Tommy, Iman, and Claire. Jack had Greenberg, Chelsea, Jessica, Jabari, and Philip. And Alex had Amber, John, Jonathan, Jack, and Patrick. So I am completely out of draft picks at 44 points. Jack is in second place with 36 points. And Alex is in first place with 34 points. Now, if Jack...
If Chelsea wins, I can
Yeah,
win.
if Chelsea wins, you win. But
Yeah.
How you feeling, Jack?
I mean, while Jonathan hasn't voted, he's said in his confessional who he's leaning towards. So I'm not feeling the most confident. But once Greenberg went down, I mean, I knew I was not. He was kind of the centerfold for my whole draft. So after that happened, I knew it was coming. So
I think this was a fun element, and I'm glad that we did it. I think DD.org does fantasy drafts for like small groups of people who want to do it within their own friend group or whatever. That's pretty cool. But I'm glad that we did it, even though I lost, embarrassingly lost. But in my defense, I got some not good
Claire.
people that were kind of just like the last options. So whatever. All right, so that is gonna do it. We're still missing Alex, but we should be doing a finals podcast at some point, which will go over Final Tribal Council with Jonathan and whoever he picks. So be on the lookout for that, and we're going to get this one uploaded for those of you who missed it. And that is all I have. Jack, anything else?
Nope. Good night. That's about it.
Good night, Essential.